The unwanted bride. Rain lashed against the cobblestones as Eleanor Grey clutched the hem of her worn dress, her heart pounding like the storm itself. The sound of hooves grew louder. Black carriages bearing the royal insignia stopped in front of her small cottage. Her mother's trembling voice broke the silence. "Ellie, they've come." Eleanor swallowed hard. She knew what this meant. The king had decreed that the Duke of Ravensshire, cold, powerful, and feared by all, was to take a bride. And somehow, fate had chosen her, a common baker's daughter. She was dragged to the carriage, her protests drowned by thunder. Inside the grand carriage sat Lady Morgana, the Duke's advisor, her silver eyes sharp and cold. "You should consider this an honor," Morgana said. "An honor to marry a man I've never met." Eleanor's voice trembled. "Not just any man," Morgana smirked. "The man who ended the war." When the carriage stopped at Ravensshire Manor, Eleanor's breath caught. The estate was enormous, shadowed turrets pierced the sky, and servants bowed in silence. Then she saw him, Duke Lucian Ravensshire. Tall, broad-shouldered, eyes like frozen steel. He stood at the top of the marble staircase, his black coat flowing behind him. "You must be the king's gift," he said coldly. Eleanor raised her chin. "And you must be the man who doesn't smile." A flicker, just a flicker, of amusement touched his lips. But it vanished as quickly as it came. The ceremony was brief, loveless, and silent. No music, no flowers, only duty. That night, as she was escorted to the bridal chamber, her heart raced. The door closed behind them. Lucian stood by the window, silent. "You don't want this marriage either," she said softly. He turned to her, eyes shadowed. "Want? I don't have the luxury of wanting." Eleanor's voice trembled. "Then why me?" Lucian's expression darkened. "Because you are the only one the king cannot control." Before she could speak, thunder crashed, and the candlelight flickered out. In the darkness, she heard his whisper, low and raw. "Stay away from the East Wing, if you value your life." And with that, he vanished into the storm. Secrets of the East Wing. Days passed. The Duke was a ghost in his own home, silent, distant, never sharing a meal. Eleanor wandered the endless halls, her curiosity growing. Every servant avoided her gaze. Every whisper stopped when she entered. At dinner one night, she dared to speak. "Does your silence frighten them too?" she asked. Lucian's fork froze midair. His cold eyes met hers. "They fear what they do not understand." "And what don't they understand about you?" He rose abruptly, his chair scraping the marble. "That I am not the monster they think I am." His words lingered in her mind long after he left. Later that night, Eleanor heard faint crying, soft, broken sobs, coming from the East Wing. The forbidden corridor. She followed the sound, her candle trembling in her hand. At the end of the corridor stood a locked door, engraved with strange runes. The sobbing stopped. "Who's there?" came a frail voice from within. Eleanor froze. I heard someone crying." "Go back," the voice whispered. "Before he finds out." Her heart raced. "Before who finds out?" Suddenly, a hand clamped over her shoulder. Lucian. His face was shadowed in moonlight, anger burning in his eyes. "I told you to stay away." He dragged her back to her chamber. "You disobeyed me. I only heard someone suffering." She cried. "Why are you hiding them?" His jaw tightened. "You wouldn't understand." She looked up at him, and for the first time, saw pain behind his anger. "Then make me understand," she whispered. He turned away, voice breaking. "Because if you knew the truth, you'd never forgive me." And with that, he left, slamming the door behind him. Eleanor stood there, trembling, the sound of the sobbing echoing in her ears. The next morning, she found something slipped under her door. A torn piece of parchment with one line written in elegant script. "The Duke is not your enemy." Her breath caught. Someone inside the East Wing was trying to reach her. The Duke's curse. Eleanor's determination hardened. She would uncover the truth, whatever it cost. That night, she followed Lucian secretly, watching as he entered the East Wing through a hidden door behind a tapestry. When he was gone, she slipped in after him. The corridor was cold and filled with strange symbols carved into the stone. In a candlelit chamber, she found a painting of Lucian, holding a young woman who looked just like her. Her heart raced. The woman's eyes, same color, same shape, it was like looking into a mirror. Behind her, Lucian's voice cut through the air. "You shouldn't be here." Eleanor spun around. "Who is she? Why do I look like her?" He stepped closer, anguish in his eyes. "Her name was Alara, my first love, my curse." He told her everything. Years ago, Lucian had fallen in love with Alara, a healer accused of witchcraft. To save her from execution, he struck a deal with a dark sorcerer, but the magic twisted. Alara died, and her soul was bound to his bloodline. Every century, she would be reborn, never remembering him. "You're her," he said quietly. "You always come back, but you never stay." Eleanor's knees buckled. "That's impossible." Lucian stepped closer, his voice trembling. "Every lifetime, I find you. Every time, I lose you. That's why I pushed you away, because to love me is to die." She stared at him, tears falling. "Then let me choose. Even if it kills me, I want to know the man who can love like that." For the first time, his armor cracked. He reached for her hand, cold, trembling, and pressed it to his heart. "Then God help us both." As their hands touched, the runes on the walls began to glow. The air turned heavy. A shadow appeared, dark, swirling, the sorcerer's curse awakening again. Lucian shouted, "Get back." The chamber shook. Eleanor was thrown against the wall. The last thing she saw was Lucian standing between her and the darkness, his body glowing with blinding light. Love beyond the curse. Eleanor awoke to silence. The chamber was in ruins. The runes had gone dark. Lucian lay motionless on the floor. "No, Lucian," she screamed, cradling his head. His pulse was faint. His lips moved weakly. "It's done. The curse took me instead." Tears streamed down her face. "You saved me, again." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, this time you'll live free." But she shook her head fiercely. "Not without you." The sorcerer's voice echoed through the chamber, ghostly and cruel. "The curse cannot be broken by sacrifice, only by love returned." Eleanor pressed her lips to Lucian's, whispering, "Then I'll return it 1,000 times." Light engulfed them both, warm, blinding, endless. When it faded, Lucian opened his eyes. The mark of the curse was gone. The air was still. "You broke it," he whispered. "No," she smiled through tears. "We broke it." They returned to the manor together, hand in hand. The servants bowed, astonished. The shadow that had haunted Ravenshire for centuries had finally lifted. Months passed. The Duke who had once been feared was now seen walking the gardens with his wife, laughter echoing through the halls that had known only silence. One night, under a full moon, Lucian took Eleanor's hand. "Do you ever wonder," he said softly, "if love like ours was written in the stars?" She smiled. "Maybe, but I think we wrote it ourselves." He kissed her gently, whispering, "Then may it never fade again." And for the first time in centuries, the manor of Ravenshire knew peace, not through magic, not through power, but through a love that defied death itself.